You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Breaking the Ice. I'm your host, Connor Cupen, and today we have no Devils fans in the building. On mic one, I got Alex Daly. Alex, how's it going? First time in like 3 months.
I know, it's great to be back.
He's back.
Last time I was here, it was the very first show.
We were before Thanksgiving, right?
I've been listening in every once in a while when I can, and
think
it's
that
come
was-
a long way
was-
since the very first show.
Was that before Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Last time?
Yeah.
On mic two, we got AJ Chasan back at it again.
What's going on? What's going on? Thanks for having me. We finally got no Devils fans here. We got my two Rangers boys. Not much better, but you know what? We take it. We take it, and we move. So
We take it and we
it's
move.
glad to be back.
And we move to the third seat. We got the triple play man himself. What's going on, Tanner?
The blue shirts. The blue shirts. I'm saying it. I'm not as happy saying it this week, but whatever.
Yeah, I got you.
Whatever.
So we're going to try and take the whole episode without saying number 86's name. We're just going to call him number 86, or what should we call him? Let's settle on this one.
Quinn's brother.
Quinn's brother. Is
Quinn's
that the
brother.
good one?
Quinn and Luke's brother.
Yeah.
Quinn and Luke's brother. All right, we're just going to call him that. Because I remember the last time we had an episode without mentioning Quinn and Luke's brother. So, now it's perfect time. We can't say it.
I went back and went to that episode that I was complaining about it. His name was said 30 times
You counted?
Wow.
in an hour. I went back and counted. I mean, 31 to be exact. 31 times in 60 minutes. That is one time every 2 minutes. We talk about 4 divisions here. We talk about 30 NHL teams.
One time every 2 minutes.
30 NHL teams.
Wow.
That is
So-
embarrassing.
To Devils Fanatics and Devils Report. Come on, guys. That's the dude. If they could, right? Do you think? Let's think. What would they do for Jack Hughes? Let's think. Oh,
Come on!
I dumped it. I
Wow.
dumped it. I dumped it. I dumped it.
Oh.
I dumped it.
Come
It doesn't count. I dumped it.
Immediately.
I dumped it. Not even.
Okay.
Not even.
No, it does count because we don't have that feature.
Yeah.
I
If we-
do.
if
I
we-
can jump it for you.
If we mess up,
No, I dump it
Yeah,
for you.
there's-
I dump
we
it for
mess
you.
Yeah.
up, There's nothing.
I dump it for
it's
you.
not gonna be far
Fair
after.
enough.
I dump it for you.
All right.
Listen, we're gonna do this. We're gonna
Yep.
do this.
Mhm.
So for Quinn and Luke's brother, what
Um,
would they do? What would they do for him? What do you guys think?
anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give up an arm and a leg?
Just about anything.
Would they?
They're simps for him.
They're simps for why won't they just simp for Luke? What if they use Luke to get to him?
What if they get all three of them?
Nah, they don't mess with Quinn like that. He's a Canuck.
Mm.
Quinn's a better one anyway.
He is. He's a
True.
defenseman. Listen,
True.
he's a defenseman.
Quinn's a better one anyway.
My favorite things about him, every time there's a picture of him, he looks so depressed. Quinn Hughes. It's so funny. There's so many pictures out there of him just sitting in the corner, like, it's so funny.
Dude, I don't think we've ever dumped something that we didn't have to dump at this station, but we have to because listen,
Yeah.
there's a goal here.
That was a panic dump.
That was a panic.
That
dump.
wasn't an ADJ train dump. That was a panic dump.
Yeah, and now, if that went through on Audacity, I'm gonna go edit it out. I don't care. We're
Fair
doing
enough.
this. This is happening. So first off, I want to get started right into the first thing on the episode. I want you guys' thoughts on the biggest trade from this past week. Ryan O'Reilly to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Boys, the floor is yours.
I mean, this just proves they're for real. Like, this proves that the Toronto Maple Leafs are seriously dedicated on getting over this hump. They made this move specifically for Tampa. What they needed to beat Tampa is they
Because
needed.
they know they're going to play Tampa first.
Yes. What's it called? The stars are aligning. The points are aligning. None of these teams in the Atlantic. The top,
Here come the Cats.
The Cats are not catching the lightning. They're not catching the lightning.
Justin's like slandering Devils fans. Wow.
I would say they're on a crash course to play each other. And what the Maple Leafs needed, what they got to match up with the Lightning, is a 3 seed that can play in the dot. What they're going to need another 2-way forward, that can move up in their top 6 if they have to. And that's what they got in Ryan O'Reilly. It's a great trade. I could have I could have told you 15 teams that could have traded for Ryan O'Reilly, but
15 teams.
if the Maple Leafs don't make it out of the first round this year, they're cleaning house. Their GM's getting
Yeah.
fired. Their coach is getting fired.
Yeah.
They're gonna make serious moves. With you could even see with one of the top four their top four stars. Excluding Matthews. You could see a Marner. You could see a Nylander.
I could see Nylander getting dealt
you,
somewhere.
You could see one of them getting the boot.
Yeah.
So in order to keep this core intact, you have to finally do something, and this just proves that they're serious about it. So
One
Give
thing.
it to him right here then. So I want to also point out, so the full trade, it's Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari. That's a Panthers legend right there. The toothless cookie, Noel Acciari, in a 3-team deal, and a lot of picks and other players headed to St. Louis. Minnesota gets a 4th-round pick. So Minnesota just kind of gets a 4th out of the whole thing. You know, it's kind of random.
So
but
how many firsts do the Blues have now?
so the Blues, from that trade alone,
Well, no, they got one from then, and then last week they got one from the Rangers also.
yeah, so now the Blues have
They have
a first,
three.
a second,
three in
and a
this
third.
draft, right?
They have 3 in this draft, I think.
The Panthers don't have one, bro. That thing is Ben Sherratt's half a season. Now it's in Montreal.
Here's another thing. Speaking about the Leafs, it was just announced today that Jake Muzzin is out for the rest of the season. He's a $4.4 million cap hit. That's $4.4 million off the books. So, could they possibly make a trade for another player?
Jacob Chikrin.
Jacob Chikrin?
Jacob
Patrick
Chikrin.
Kane?
All this to lose in the
Oh.
first round, bro.
Oh.
All this to lose in the
Yeah,
first
imagine
round.
if, they,
What was
imagine,
happening?
imagine if their top 6 is like Matthews, Marner, Kane, Nylander, O'Reilly,
I don't think
Nylander, O'Reilly, Tavares, and they still lose to
Still
lose to
lose.
Tampa.
we'll get into this in a later episode. Unless Tampa makes a big move, I don't think they're getting Toronto this year.
Stop it.
I don't think they're getting them this year.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. But this is
Yeah.
this is the best team Toronto has built in what they got in the Matthews Marner era.
I hear what you're
That's
And
what we
this is-
said.
and
That's
this-
what we said last year, and look what happened.
Would you not say on paper this is a better team? And would you
I
say?
would.
And would you not
Yeah,
say?
I guess adding O'Reilly, I would
And
say
is Tampa stronger or weaker than they are last year? From a roster construction perspective, are they stronger or weaker?
so. I would say they're weaker. Yeah,
If there's any year,
I would say weaker because they lost Palat, who was a big performer in the playoffs.
So if they could stay the 2 seed
Yeah,
in the Atlantic and then get
I
that
guess,
extra home
yeah.
game, I don't think that they get them this year. I know we love the Toronto can't get out of the first round.
It's a funny
narrative.
joke. It's a
funny joke.
But the thing is,
I don't think it happens.
at least last year going into the playoffs, I was like, okay, Tampa. You know, I thought the Maple Leafs were going to win that round, and then they went back to the Cup final and were 2 wins away from a third straight Stanley Cup. So, and I also felt that way 2 years ago when they beat Montreal. I was like, okay, they're not as good as the team that won the Cup, and then they went and they just kind of just dominated every team and won the Cup again. And then they did it last year, but the Avalanche were such good of a team. I don't know. I just don't doubt them anymore. I just think they're such a good team. They have so much experience there. So I'm not sure, but I'm not doubting or like saying Tampa, like who's better at the moment. I don't want to say it's not Tampa because they'll do something and then they'll be back in the Cup final before we know it.
Yeah, next thing we just jinxed the whole thing.
Well, in a 7-game series, what's the final? It's gonna be close.
Well, it's gonna go 7.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's gonna go 7. But the reason why I would have Toronto over Tampa is they have enough offense.
Mm-hmm.
They just traded for what might now be the best 3C in the game in Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Is there any other team that's a contender right now with Jake Muzzin coming off the books at $4.4 million that has more cap flexibility in these next 2 weeks than the Toronto Maple Leafs?
It is true. And also something. Sorry
You're
to
good.
add in here is that if Matt Murray doesn't come back, that's an extra $4.68 million that they have. They might have like $10 million in cap space.
Exactly.
Almost.
Even if Matt Murray comes back, they have the problem is they did not have the defense and goaltending to stick with Tampa.
Yeah.
If Tampa got up 2-1 in a game, they could just easily close it out because
Yeah.
that's their style of hockey. They have met with Matt Murray and with an Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah.
That is good enough.
I hear what you're saying.
That
here.
is good enough.
Yeah.
You're speaking loud and clear.
So if they can make the requisite moves in these next 2 weeks that they need to make, If they can go out, they can go add a Patrick Kane. They can go
Yeah.
add a Chikrin. They could get wild, and if San Jose is willing to retain if they're willing
Get
to retain
Karlsson.
some salary, and if Matt Murray's going to be out a while,
Yeah,
could Eric Karlsson could he be a Leaf?
that would be insane.
Yeah, that
Could he be a Leaf? I'm just
Could he be
pitching
a
it
Leaf?
out there.
would be wild.
We'll see what
Could he
happens.
be a Leaf? I'm gonna move on one more thing here. So that's that trade. The O'Reilly trade is huge for Toronto. They're making moves.
So can I just cut in one more thing?
Cut in.
So I remembered Noel Achari was in this in this
bro.
deal.
Cat's legend.
He was. I just got to point out before we move on. I believe NHL 15. He was on my franchise team. I had like 30 goals with him.
We love it.
So that was a great. Good time.
Cookie's great. One time he made a save with his body because the goaltender was
I do
down.
remember that. I
Dude,
do remember
great.
that.
Now for you Rangers boys, the Tyler Mott trade. How you feel about that one?
I mean, it was. They had to do it. They had to get a player like him. To get kind of another player that has been there, that has experience from last year, and kind of just a more, I would say, grittier player that'll, he's win faceoffs. He's good on the penalty kill as well. Just the thing I'm thinking is if they wanted to make this move, why didn't they just sign him in the offseason?
Yeah.
Why didn't they just sign him in the offseason? Because now you lose Julian Gauthier, who was okay. He literally has one move that he can make, which is that he just turns on the Jets, cuts in, but he can't score on it. I think people have counted. He's almost 200 breakaway attempts. He scored 2 goals on it, something like that. But it's a big number, and he only has about 2 goals on it.
1% success rate.
What?
1% success
Yeah.
rate.
So I don't know, but he was, he showed a couple flashes that he could be something, but he just didn't. And I think they needed to make this deal to just get more of a physical presence for this team. So,
Tyler Mott's back, baby.
yeah,
Welcome back. So, more things as the trade deadline heats up. So now we see Luke Shen is gonna get traded most likely. He's been held out of the lineup. And how do you guys feel about this one? So Boston apparently has a deal in place for Gavrikov.
really.
Yeah, but they need to free up cap room first. But imagine Boston's gonna add a defenseman to their team.
That's so dumb. That shouldn't be allowed.
That shouldn't be allowed. Well, that's why they have to free up
dumb.
cap room for it. So they're gonna lose someone, of course.
Yeah. Well,
But they can make it. Who knows what they're gonna do with that one?
that team is just so deep, so well coached, so talented. This is their year to capitalize on the last year of Bergeron, the last year of Krejci. You don't know what's going to happen with Pasternak after this year. Like,
They're trying to extend him. They're getting
They are.
closer on an 8-year extension.
they are,
Yeah.
but it's not done yet. You
is
don't
not
know,
done yet,
you
yeah,
don't know
8
what's going. You
years.
don't know what can happen. So this is their year. This is their year to go out, go all in,
Yeah,
go
this
guns
is their
blazing.
Panthers year.
I mean, do you even see a world where they're not in the finals over there?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
Yes.
I'll get into that. I think Boston's losing in the second round, but
Really?
I'll get into that.
They're
Let's
so
hear it, let's hear it.
okay. This is not going to make any sense. They're so good of a team that they're not going to make the Stanley Cup.
We saw the Panthers do it last year.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought the
the
Avalanche would do it last year, but
The Avalanche were such.
they were just too good.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you boys at the end of the show who I think's coming out of the East.
All right.
I'll tell you boys at the end of the show.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
At the end of the show.
There's a reason for it.
Oh yeah, just wait. So, Timo Meyer that's still just stuck where it is. We've been
Yeah.
talking about it forever. So whatever. Barbashev might get traded. Chikrin, the thing about him, he's being held out of the lineup until something happens. So maybe it won't happen, but like it should. You know what I'm saying? And other than that, those are the major ones that we're looking at. Yeah, Shen's been scratched, so he's gonna for trade related reasons. He's definitely gonna get traded. More things outside of trade rumors. So Barzal is hurt. Matthew Barzal is hurt indefinitely with a lower body injury. So not only do the Islanders, they're trying to make a push for playoffs, it's not going to help at all.
Not at all.
It's not going to help at all. It's their best player. And moving on from that, Jonathan Towes was not going to get traded by the Blackhawks. He's staying there. And I also realized Connor McDavid is the first player this season to hit 100 points. And it's not even the fastest in his career to hitting 100 points. He actually
It's insane.
was faster 2 years ago. He did it in 56 games this year. It was 53 games 2 years ago.
He's insane. That's all I could say. There's no. I haven't seen. I've said this before. I've never seen before when the MVP was over by halfway through the season.
By halfway.
It's over. It's over. He's the MVP. I think even if he has a season-ending injury right now, he'd still win the Hart Trophy.
Honestly,
I think so.
He'd
Yeah.
get my vote.
All the Devils fans say that number 86 and Quinn and Luke's brother should have an MVP conversation.
Yeah,
They're like,
I know.
talked about
Every time
last
I hear that, people are like, "Oh, he's gonna be in the MVP conversation." What, as the guy who one of the two pity votes?
the guy who didn't get any votes.
Drysaitel is gonna be. It's gonna be McDavid, Drysaitel, and then
And
86,
Quinn-
and then
Quinn-
86.
Yeah, Quinn's brother.
I would say
Gotcha.
number 86 is competing, so Connor McDavid can't win the MVP unanimously. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
it
about
is.
it. Yeah.
That's
That's
what it
all
is.
he's doing.
Can they
The
get a
only
vote?
glory you can get at that point, just taking a vote away.
And let me
get
ask
any
you guys
votes?
this question: if Connor McDavid, on the pace he's on without his career in this era of NHL hockey, if he wins just 2 Stanley Cups, where is he all time?
Dude, top. He's already. People already have him top 5, like a top 5 forward since the
I think
1990.
he's number 1 if he gets 2 cups. Honestly.
Yeah, I think if he keeps on the pace that he's playing, like if he's getting 150 points a season, and he keeps on the pace that he's playing, I think he'll get. I think he'll. If he wins multiple cups, I think he would be the greatest.
I would say in this
I just don't know
era
because
of
look,
hockey.
I look. Oh, in this era,
And this, what's it called? The fact that he's doing this in this era of hockey,
Yeah.
not back then, not back when Gretzky was
No
doing
one's
it.
doing what he's doing now.
No. Yeah.
No one.
No one's at. Yeah.
except for Etu Luostarinen, but like
How could we forget about him?
That's
how
funny.
can we forget about him? But moving on here. So Dylan Larkin got fined $5,000 for a beautiful cross check. AJ showed me that earlier today. What do you guys think? You guys see the cross check or no?
No.
I did not.
That was.
It's on TJ Oshie. I'm going to pass my phone around. Everyone can just take a beautiful look.
I would say when they're looking at it, what's that? I'll just comment. Oh, that was just cheap. That's all that is. Not only does that there's a $5,000,
It was
but
cheap.
give him 2 games for that. There's no room for that in the NHL. He basically just took his stick and speared him, but they got in the jaw. Like
Yeah, literally in the jaw.
just
That's
take
wild.
those things. People don't realize how much those things hurt.
He doesn't
Yeah.
come back in the game after that.
No.
Let me see.
Neither of them should.
And this is a league in the
Oh.
NHL that's trying to protect head injuries. That's
Yeah.
that's trying to preach player safety. That needs a suspension.
I'm genuinely shocked we've gone as far as we have with not full cage hockey helmets.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. I mean, I don't know if they.
Do the
could-
players not want it? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I guess it's
Probably.
personal preference, right?
Yeah, I would guess.
I don't think it'll ever happen. 'Cause
Why
it's-
can't they wear visors? I forget why. Because didn't Martin Brodeur complain or something?
Yeah, aesthetically, I don't think it'll ever happen. The NHL, they care about the players like looking all right. Like they care for like them be able to market actual pictures of players in games. So I don't think it will happen, but it should happen because like at this point, like we got to stop. We got to do anything to stop hit injuries. We got to stop with the people eating pucks in the face.
Yeah.
Like these guys are now shooting the pucks 80, 90 miles an hour on
Yeah.
average. Like.
It's gonna take one dude to get hit like right here in the jaw, and then
And that's
then
it.
what?
That's it. Like we're talking about people's lives.
Yeah.
Last one here. As far as trades go, so Martin Kaut, he apparently requested a trade like 5 times in his time with the Avalanche. So he was on the Avs since 2018, his 16th overall pick, and he requested a trade. He says 5 times in the past 5 years,
Like, well, I don't. Okay,
and now he's a Shark.
cool. What's
So
I gotta-
they're just holding him there.
What?
Why won't they let him leave?
Well, now he left.
Okay, now he left.
Now he's with San Jose, and that's when he came out
okay.
and said that he had probably requested
Wow.
like 5 trades.
I guess he loves California. Like, I guess he loves Cali. Like Cali championships. I know they both begin with the letter C, but they're not equal.
They're
Trust
not
me.
equal.
Mm-hmm.
They could have sat there. He could have sat in Colorado, probably won a couple more chips, but
Yeah, true.
now he's gonna go be playing. Now he's gonna be playing in San Jose, where they're about to trade Eric Carlson, they're about to trade Timo Meyer, and they are about to be in a dark place in that franchise. So, hats off to you. If you want to lose and you guys want to be on a team that stinks, Go for
Go
it.
for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So,
I got no problems.
I'm going to get things started here now. Pacific Division Roundup. Nothing's changed, man. All the teams won either a game, 2 games, whatever. No seeding has changed at all in the division. Like, Vegas still on top. Seattle goes in second. Actually, LA's in second. Seattle goes third. And as far as the wild card goes out west, Edmonton still holds the top spot, and the Wild have now worked their way into the second spot in the wild card. So the Flames are out right now. Vancouver is still struggling. San Jose and Anaheim in the basement. Anaheim's lost 6 straight. So that was real fast because we're going straight to the Central like that. Dallas is on a 4-game losing streak, and Winnipeg is still in second place. I don't understand it. It's because Dallas has... Here's legitimately why. Dallas is 1 point ahead of Winnipeg, right? But it's because Dallas has 12 overtime losses to Winnipeg's 1. So that's exactly why. Like, Winnipeg has 5 more wins than Dallas. 5. 5 more wins. But they're second in the division. Wild. Absolutely wild.
I think, speaking on Winnipeg, I mean, this is probably the first 2 Winnipeg Jets games I've watched all season. But I saw them at the Devils-Jets game Sunday night, and then I watched them the next night on Monday versus the Rangers.
Let's recap that one for me.
Connor Hellebuck is that guy. He's that guy. I saw because the two of the 3 Devils goals that were scored on Hellebuck, because they won 4-2. One was an empty net. Two of the goals were the Jets giving the puck away right behind the net. Literally right behind the net. I was at the game saying, like, if I was him, I would just get up and retire right now, because it was 2 giveaways right behind the net. It was a couple good plays. And then I was watching that Ranger game Monday night.
Yeah.
Let me find the...
That's the one I
he
want
had I
50
believe
saves.
51 saves.
50 saves on 51 shots. 51 shots faced, 1 goal allowed.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Connor's just
Yeah.
good on the other side.
Kyle Connor is another.
Also,
He's nice as well.
And also Hellebuck, he played back-to-back games. Like, he played back-to-back games, and he played really well in back-to-back games. He played better in the second game of a back-to-back. When was the last time you saw an NHL goalie play back-to-back games?
Not a long time. Not a long time.
Because
It's very rare.
I was at the game like, oh, Hellebuck's in net tonight for the Jets, so that means we'll get Riddick tomorrow. And then I just see starting in goal against the New York Rangers, Connor Hellebuck, and I'm like, oh, come on. And then he plays one of the best games I've seen from a goalie in years.
Their
in that game.
defense was outstanding too.
Yeah.
To put in perspective how good Connor Hellebuck's been, through the first 45, 50 games, it was Linus Ullmark's trophy to lose without the Vezina. Connor Hellebuck's making it a conversation, a real conversation.
He is.
And don't be shocked by the end of the year, Hellebuck ends up taking it.
Yeah.
If he ends up stealing it away from Ullmark. He's been that sensational this year. And it's showing.
I really want to see the Rangers-Jets game, how many power plays they kept the Rangers off of. Because I feel like every time I looked up, the Rangers were on a power play and nothing came
Rangers were 0 for 4.
Wow.
Rangers were 0 for 4 on that power play. Didn't even get anything, really. They got nothing on. They got a couple good chance. I mean, it's not like the Rangers didn't play terribly.
Yeah, no.
They didn't play bad. They just Hellebuck was a brick wall.
I mean, if you get 50 shots up.
Yeah, they got 51 shots. It was, and also they've had there's a couple soft goals that Igor let up.
Mm-hmm.
If I was talking about it on my show, if you looked on Rangers Twitter, you would think Andrei Pavlik was back with the Rangers.
Man.
You think Andrei Pavlik was back? That's that because I was at the Devils Jets game. I saw a guy walking around in an Andrei Pavlik jersey.
I got you.
Oof. That was, but you would think it was, you'd think people were like giving up on Igor Shesterkin. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? If the Rangers are going to win a Stanley Cup, he's going to be the goalie. That's as simple as it's going to be.
He proved that he can lock down when he needs to against the Oilers.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, he let up what,
4 goals in the first period.
4 goals in the
nothing
first
else.
period,
Let the
and then
Rangers come
shut
back.
out. Yeah. He could. He has bad. He had a bad stretch. He had a bad stretch last year too. It happened last year.
It
It's
happens to
okay.
everyone.
They'll be okay. He'll be okay. And when hopefully by the time it gets to the playoffs, he'll be the Vezina Trophy winning goalie, and I believe he will.
1,000%, man. So, I believe the Jets will catch Dallas. I just don't know how they're keeping this 1-point lead. It's like actually blowing my mind, but it's these overtime losses because they have like 11 points because of that. So it's like almost 6 wins worth of losing in just past regulation. But under them, in third in the Central, Colorado's coming back all the way. They get my team of the week. They take down Minnesota, then they beat the Blues, and then the Edmonton Oilers in overtime this past Sunday. 6-5 victory. You know, like Mikko Rantanen, game-winning goal. Colorado's back up, and they're playing with poise.
They're the best team in the league. They're the best team in the league. They've just been injured the entire year. They're finally starting to get their guys back. Cale Makar will be back in 2 games once he's out of protocol. Then in a couple weeks, they'll get their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, back. They will trade for a number 2 center, they'll come March 2nd.
3rd, I think.
March 3rd.
I don't know.
March
One of those
2nd,
days.
3rd. One of those days. They will win the Central Division. Just telling you right now. They have 2 games in hand. They're pretty much in lockstep with both these 2 teams. They're going to win the Central Division, and don't be shocked if they represent the West in the Cup again. They're nasty.
I hear you.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm with you.
Minnesota also had a great week, but they did lose that 1 game. But other than that, the Wild played very good this past week. They have a wild card spot in the division. Nashville played all right. St. Louis, not too good. Arizona won 2 games out of nowhere, and their goaltender, I believe, who was playing goaltender for them this week? Because, like, just immediate production out of nowhere. Like, they just have, is there a resurgence? Let me figure it out real quick.
Yeah. I'm not.
Connor Ingram was their goaltender this week,
Oof.
and he only allowed 2 goals in 3 games.
Well,
Let me tell you guys, the Coyotes are back. It's hanging out with the frats at ASU. It's got them ready.
I saw, Connor Ingram had that game against Tampa last week, and then although I believe those Coyotes, the one loss, 6-5, 6-5 to the LA Kings.
It happens, man. Still a competitive loss, though. Competitive loss.
Yeah, the Kings did blow a 4-goal lead in the game.
That's great.
And the Kings won in the shootout. But
I'm telling you, ASU Pike, they're turning up.
Pike is turning up the Coyotes.
have you seen
ASU
the
Pike,
yeah.
AU Kappa Sig, they're turning up.
that's so awesome.
They're going.
And the Blackhawks still in
That's
last,
actually
but they
so
won
awesome.
3 games this past week. So
Yeah,
here come the
3 in a
Blackhawks,
row.
too. And let's move on to the Metro because we got all the boys in this room. We're going to go down top to bottom here. Carolina at the top, winning 4 games in a row. Close to team of the week, but they didn't take home the honors. Beat the Habs, beat Caps, beat the Blues. Caps twice, actually, if you go back to last week. So they're rolling, keeping the Devils in check, keeping Quinn's brother in check there.
Yep.
But speaking of the Devils as well, they had 2 good games against the Jets and the Penguins, but they did lose to Montreal last night, which the group chat was blowing up about, and I loved it,
I saw. Listen. I saw 2 people. I was picking up DoorDash. I saw 2 people in Devils jerseys. I almost just chanted, "Let's go Habs!" But I held back. I held back on myself.
There you go.
And they lost to the Blues as well.
Yep. Speaking of the Devils, from Justin himself at Devils Fanatics, he has sent me a message to give on the Devils. I will read it. This is quote Devils Fanatics. Devils need to make a trade at the deadline. Doesn't even have to be for Timo Meier. They just need to make a couple moves desperately to light a spark in this team. Otherwise, they will have no shot to beat the Rangers in the first round.
Whoa!
Wow.
No
That
faith. There is no faith right there. Devils Fanatics downfall.
No quit in New York. No faith in New Jersey. There you go.
There you go. Put that on Devils Fanatics.
That's
Now,
my line.
I know. I stole it.
I think it'll be a competitive series if we see it.
Nah, even without Team Out, it's still gonna go 6.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to
Steve,
the Rangers, guys.
Just do what. Sorry.
You're good.
Oh no, I'm gonna talk about the Rangers. So.
You're good. Let's talk about the Rangers. So they had a huge winning streak. So we're gonna jump into that first and talk about the Canucks game.
Oh boy, that was. Oh wait, no.
Some time ago.
No, they won that game.
Yeah, they won that game.
They won that game. Oh,
think
they lost. They lost to Calgary.
Yeah, talk about the Canucks game for me real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
It's another comeback.
yeah, I mean they've been really good at making comebacks this year. I think that's going to really help down the stretch into the playoffs. Everyone says there's no quit in New York. There's been some quit in these last couple games, but Vancouver, yeah, they were down and then they won the game. It was a great game, and then that Edmonton game, it was
unbelievable.
It was 4-1 Edmonton at the end of the first period, and I was just like, because I knew they were not going to just go quietly into this game, because if you watch the game, they had so many chances in that first period, but I think Jack Campbell was playing goalie.
Probably,
he
yeah.
made some saves that were, if he wasn't in net, the Rangers might have put 10 goals up in that game. They might have put up 10. They had so many chances, but they had so many chances, and then Edmonton would come down and score a goal, but then the Rangers came back, tied it, and won it, and it was. I knew they weren't gonna lose that game 4-1. I knew they were gonna make a comeback. I didn't know if they were gonna win, but they did.
They did. Completely unrelated. Any of y'all boys got an iPhone charger in here?
I do not.
Yes.
Donate that to me real quick. But so while you're doing that, let's talk about the next one. So now we're getting to the bad part of the week.
Wait, we got to talk about Laugh winning the shootout.
Okay. Go
Oh,
right
that
ahead.
was nasty.
That's
Nasty.
It's so good to see. The
Yeah.
kids are gonna stay in check.
And
No
then-
one's going anywhere.
And then that happens. I check my phone. I see our group chat, and Campbell's like, you have to apologize to Lafreniere. I'm just gonna. I never slandered him.
I didn't want him to leave. I would have been upset if we.
Yeah, people
unless
were
we
like-
got a really good trade.
Yeah,
out of it,
yeah.
obviously,
But he's coming into his own. That's all you got to do. We said a couple weeks ago, don't give up on these young players. I mean,
I think Capo Caco is gonna be a force in a few years.
Yeah.
I think that kid's gonna.
I think it could be
something.
Philip Hedels blossoming into his own. They have a lot of these young players, and I feel like at least the hope is that they might get into fruition by the time that some players like Jacob Trouba only has a couple years left. Panarin only has a couple years left. They have a lot of time with Zibanejad, Fox, Kreider, but
Panarin and Tarasenko are just tied at the hip right now.
Yeah, but I just think they have a really good team. But the young players are showing major improvements. They're not scoring as they much were, but they've been making impacts all season, which is all that you need them to do, because you have two lines of established NHL players, and Jimmy Vesey, and then you have that line, the kids line, which don't tear them apart. That's all I gotta say. Don't tear them apart. They all have to play together. That's why I want the Rangers to, if they can, make another move at the deadline. So you could have those two top lines of just established players, so we don't have to have Jimmy Vesey there, and then you could have that kid line there in the playoffs, and then the fourth line that you have Goudreau, Mott, and probably Vesey, players that will
Yeah, got you.
players that.
And that's a fourth line with VC on.
That's a pretty good fourth line. I mean, Goudreau has massive Stanley Cup experience. He's been basically Stanley Cup. He has about 4 straight years of going deep. He's 4 straight years of at least making it to the conference finals. So I feel like that'll help out a lot. Get top scoring lines, the kids line that could put up a lot of goals in the playoffs, and then you have the fourth line, which can do what they need to do. They're all veterans, I would guess you would say. And then you have the defense. The defense is always gonna be there.
Mikkola was great. He was really good against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta have You just you just hope that, as I said earlier, you just gotta hope that Shesterkin can kind of just ease back into because if he plays like he usually does, if he plays like he has done, because they figured out the problems that they had at the beginning of the season last year, which was that the Rangers were relying on Shesterkin, and now they're not. Mm-hmm. They're scoring for the recent loss to the loss to Winnipeg. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I believe it was 8 straight games with 4 or more goals, which is insane.
This entire month, every game we've won has been 4 or more goals.
Yeah, which just if you get 3,
you started the month perfect,
right,
and then they lost their first games of the month. These last 2, right?
This stretch, 5 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals, 6 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals.
Yeah.
So then, what happened with Calgary?
Yeah, I mean they played really well in that game, but they gave up 2 goals in the first minute of the game, and they just couldn't overcome that. And then they got to overtime. Panarin took a penalty.
I was sad to see the winning streak end like that.
Yeah.
And then the Jets game, Hellebuck, took care of
Hellebuck did what he always does.
Even to be mad about it was just
And I do think a thing with that Calgary game is that and the Carolina game a couple weeks ago is that Yarrow Halak is very good backup for this team.
Mm-hmm.
He's played phenomenal, and if Shesterkin needs time to take a break because he's not playing that well, I have faith that they could put Halak in there and he will put them in a place to succeed. He's not like Ranger backup goalies in the past. He's not like Alex Georgiev last year would give up 5 goals a game backup, except for like a one week stretch, and then he went back.
And now he's with Colorado, right?
Yeah, now he's back with
Colorado.
Yeah, of course.
So here's the thing. That's because their defense. I've learned a lot of what makes a great goaltender is how well the defensive pairings are in front of them. Like, look at who was Colorado's goaltender 2 years ago? The guy who's Grubauer. And now look how he's doing in Seattle. Nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look at Darcy Kemper.
Yeah.
He's on the Capitals. He's playing okay. Isn't he hurt?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
But like a lot of what makes a great goaltender is how there's the anomalies. There's Andrei Vasilevsky. You know what I mean? He's just a machine.
Yeah.
But
Tampa is good defense.
Also have literally
true
Victor
also.
Hedman too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
it's the defense.
It's a combination of both. But of course, a goaltender could be nasty regardless. But the Rangers still third in the Metro. They got the Devils as of right now. The playoffs started today, and we're 57 games in, 60 for some teams. And we're going to move in now to... So we see the Islanders. The Islanders and the Penguins are going to go hand in hand here because they played to my knowledge, the Islanders played Penguins twice this past week. Islanders took both those games, and the Islanders catapulted all the way up into the first wild card spot in the East. So good on them.
The thing with the Islanders, though, they've... Pittsburgh and Detroit have 4 games in hand.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And Buffalo was 5. So the Islanders, they're in the playoff spot now, but they've played 4 more games than teams that have 2 or 5 less points than them. Those will be made up. This Islanders team, even if they make the playoffs, they're not going anywhere.
I don't think
they're not going anywhere.
Barzal.
Especially if Barzal is out. He's their best player. Sorokin can only do so much. Bo Horvat can only do so much. So I think even if the Islanders make the playoffs as a 7 seed, they're going to play Carolina first round. That's Carolina in 5.
Carolina in 5
easily.
So now, Pittsburgh losing twice to the Isles, getting my L of the week here. Wow! On top of that, a loss to the Devils. And AJ wanted me to give him this because now they've jumped down into 5th in the Metro. He wants the floor.
For all my Devils people watching, or listening rather, I know there's some of y'all that I know what's it called for Devils fanatics, Devils Report, Nem, Campbell, all of them. This is the day they've been waiting for, and I'm ready to say it. The Pittsburgh Penguins are in deep trouble. They are in hot water right now. And Here, we're gonna get the sound effect going. He's looking for it.
I'm looking for it. You keep talking, man. Look for the right one.
He's looking for it. And here's why they're in trouble. The reason why I've been adamant about. There it is.
Crowd gasp.
Yep. I've been saying, just wait. They'll be fine. The reason was ever since like Game 5 of the season, they haven't had their full starting lineup together. They've been dealing with injuries throughout the entire season, yet they've still been in the mix and are still in the mix. But the reason why they're in trouble now is because the Penguins over the last 16 years, they've never been the fastest team. They've never been the most skilled team. They've never been the most flashy team. But like the New England Patriots of football, they've always been the most disciplined team. They've always been the most well-structured team. They've always been the smartest team. Completely unraveled. So far to where I would have never pictured it in the Crosby-Malkin era. The locker room is completely tuned out Mike Sullivan. You could see, boys, I watched this allowed to a goal on the power play. Look at this defense.
Yeah,
I
saw these earlier. These are great.
Wow.
This allowed to a goal. This allowed to a goal.
So you think it's all defense?
Nope.
Yeah.
This allowed to a goal. I'm going to get into it. So, and I want you, there's one more.
Give a visual for the people listening on the radio.
Just
Can't really see.
visual,
Sorry.
a lot of ice,
Yeah.
not a lot of black jerseys. And I want you to look at this breakaway from the Devils game. It doesn't seem like much, but I want you to look at the two defenders right here. I want you to look at their back check. Just look at it. Watch. Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. They gave up halfway.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to read them off to you because they're not goons like the Islanders, like Ross Johnston, Mayfield, who are just in there to just aggravate people.
Yeah.
I want you to read I want you to read all the Penguins that led to that ended up getting in the box here. Jason Zucker, top 6 forward, arguably outside of Gensel, has been your best winger all year. Evgeny Malkin, he's out here throwing haymakers. Chris Letang, Marcus Pettersson, and Jake Gensel. Now, in the moment, I'm not going to lie, I love this. And here's why. Because this team has shown no heart all season. They've just been going through the motions. I've been fearing this, but I've never said it because I've always trusted 87 and 71 to pull in the reins. Now, it just unraveled. And not a single trade will be able to fix this. I know you're watching a brawl right now. Just watch. It's nuts. They unraveled, and they completely choked in that game. Now let's talk about some on-ice stuff. Versus the Metropolitan Division, which in hockey, you take care of your division, you're sitting in a playoff spot, right?
Yeah.
Guess their record versus the Metropolitan Division in their last 8 games.
8-0.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
That's wild.
Wow.
Correct. They have not beaten a Metropolitan team in their last 8 games. I'm going to do you one better. How many times did they beat Carolina this season? Take a guess.
0.
How many times did they beat the Islanders this season?
0.
How many times did they beat the Devils this season?
0.
How many times they... And I'm going to do you one better. How many times did they beat the Rangers this season?
Once.
That's 1 win
Yeah.
in 9 games.
Wow.
That's 1 win, and it was like 1-0, right?
That's 1 win. Not a single trade is going to help this team. If they were to go out there and trade for like a Ryan O'Reilly, which is who I wanted, I told you guys in the group chat, Alex didn't have to be a Maple Leaf. Now if they were to go out there and trade for like a Brock Besser, if they were to go out there and trade for a Max Domi, what's it called, like a forward, if they were to go out there and go trade for a defenseman, it's not going to do anything. Is this Penguins team going to get past Carolina or Boston? No. They have completely mentally fallen apart. They've given up on the season. I never thought I would have had to say that. Mike Sullivan, he's a great head coach, one of the 10 best head coaches in the league. He will get a job tomorrow. He has to go.
Oh,
Number one,
wow.
he has to go. He's spent 8 years here. They haven't gotten back to the Cup final since 2017. Eventually, as you boys know, hockey is not a sport to where these coaches last 10, 15, 20 seasons. You make change. And it's long past due.
I think the speaking of the Penguins, they are going to have a 3-game stretch where it's do or die. They have a week where they play the Rangers 3 times.
Yep.
That is going to determine their entire season.
No, their entire season's already determined.
It's already determined, but
it's already determined
but
mentally.
if they lose 2 of those games, it's over.
Well, they're going to lose 2 of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their spot in the wild card, I know you think they're not strong enough, but they can definitely make it.
I'm gonna read you their next couple games. Home versus Edmonton. Loss, right?
Yeah.
Then they go.
most likely.
Then they go on the road and they play St. Louis.
Toss up.
Maybe toss up with this group. Tampa Bay,
Ooh.
Nashville on the road versus
Nashville's,
Soros.
Nashville's tough. Nashville's going to be tough.
Tampa Bay
I think
again.
that's another toss up with Nashville.
Tampa Bay again.
Yeah.
Florida.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, Florida's
Well,
beating them.
Right now, the two teams ahead of them in the wild card are played 4 more games, and they're only 1 point behind.
On the road, Florida is a terrible matchup for Pittsburgh.
Oh,
They're-
Sergei Bobrovsky masterclass incoming.
Then they get their little break in the Blue Jackets. Little break. Watch them lose that game.
Watch Johnny Gaudreau go
Then they
crazy.
face the Islanders
Again.
again. Then they face the Flyers, who have been playing decent hockey. And then they go
Had a
on.
bad week.
And then they go on your stretch, like they said. You play the Rangers 3 times in 4 games. Out of those games, do you see them 4 or 5 wins? Maybe.
Yeah.
Out of that
Maybe.
stretch.
I think they beat. I
They're
think they,
cooked.
I think they beat.
I don't
Sa-
care. They have 4 games.
I think they
in
beat St. Louis. I think they win that game. And let's see. I think they beat Columbus, maybe beat the Flyers, and maybe beat the they'll beat the Canadians. in that stretch.
Luckily for Pittsburgh,
Guess who didn't beat the Canadians? The Devils.
luckily for the Penguins. Yeah, I had to throw that in there. I love it. Luckily for the Penguins, next year's offseason outlook does not look terrible. Other than Jason Zucker and Tristan Zari, they don't have many key free agents that they have to re-sign, and they're going to have about $20 million in cap space. They'll be able to retool. But do you trust management to be able to do it? Ron Hextall viewed John Ruda as a $2 million a better player than Mark Friedman and Chad Ruedel, who have been 2 of their best 4 defensemen, according to advanced stats. And
That's not
can
good.
I tell you something about Ruda? He's healthy. He's sitting in the press box. He's not even playing.
Oof.
He's sitting, and I want to show you guys this. According to Money Puck, guess the worst line in the National Hockey League,
As far as offense or defense?
just in general. Just in terms of efficiency. Guess the worst line.
Worst line.
Is this just every line or
Yeah, are we talking like
Every
Coyotes
single
fourth
single
line, or-
qualified line. Every single qualified line. It is the Pittsburgh Penguins' 3rd line.
That is unreal.
Brock McGinn, Jeff Carter, and Kasperi Kapanen. You know what they have you know what they have a net efficiency rating of?
7.
34.6%.
All right, I was close.
Horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, that's bad.
That is
If
bad.
you're sitting there, if you're sitting there in management of Pittsburgh, right? You know you have $20 million in cap space to work with. You know you're going to have guys like Raquel, Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Rust, Letang, all these guys coming back next year. Guys on expiring contracts like like Jason Zucker, Brian Dumoulin. Do you sell them off for assets that will help you retool next offseason?
I don't know if you can.
I think you have to.
I don't know if you can be 1 point out of a playoff spot and do that. They're kind of just in that bad spot. They're
They
not.
have to.
They're in the.
I think they have to. I don't think they will, but I think they have to.
I also think one thing one thing with them, division wise, you're gonna have to beat out.
They can't beat any team.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to beat out Detroit, who's only 2 points out and have played
Detroit's
the same amount
better
of games.
than them.
I know. I'm just saying they have a lot of teams. Also, as you were saying, they have a lot of teams that they have to beat out. It's not like they're, they're third there, but Detroit's playing really good hockey. The Capitals are just getting Ovechkin back, and Buffalo's 5 games in. They've played one less game than the Penguins.
Let's take the top 6 teams of the East out of it, because we know the Bruins, Maple Leafs, Lightning, Hurricanes, Devils, Rangers would all wipe the floor on the Penguins right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it; they've done it before, especially the Devils. Which Justin and Daniel, if you're listening, you're welcome. The Islanders versus the Penguins on in a neutral rink. Who do you take? I'm telling you, you take the Islanders.
Yeah,
I mean, with the 2 wins, yeah.
You take the Islanders.
Yeah.
The Panthers.
Islanders. Not the I want to say Islanders. Panthers.
You're gonna take the
I'm
Panthers.
taking the Panthers.
Yeah,
You're gonna
I'm
take the
taking
Panthers.
Caps.
Okay.
You're gonna take the Caps. You're the Red Wings.
I don't know about Detroit, man.
I think you're taking them.
I'm taking Detroit.
They're younger, they're faster, but they play with more speed. They're more skilled. I can tell you right now, and it's just crazy to think, other than Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, who are 2 of the top 10 players that ever played this game, under their leadership, the Detroit Red Wings are more structured. They are more structured as a team. They are more disciplined of a hockey team.
You're not wrong.
A's just coming here with the heat.
The Sabres, who are you taking?
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
So why can't you sell these guys? You're not going to sell guys. You're not going to sell guys like Raquel. You're not going to sell guys like Gensel. You're not going to sell these guys who are going to be impact guys for you next year, because you can't, because you have to maximize these last few years of Sid and Gino.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys on expiring contracts who are just going to leave in free agency,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere. Even if trading those guys sends a message and they end up making the playoffs, they're going to get wiped by one of those top 2 teams anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So who cares?
Yeah.
So to all the Penguins fans out there listening, this is what AJ's got to say. And for the management, if you guys are listening, because we know you are.
Exactly.
Still a lot of hockey to go, though. We got a quarter of the season left. So let's jump into where the rest of the teams really shake up here. Capitals, downfall. Lost 5 games in a row. Of course, Ovi lost his dad. So he was away for about, a week?
About a week, yeah.
And now he's back.
Yeah, they lost badly.
They lost to Florida. You lost to the Panthers in the most important game of your season. It was 6-3. You let Mark Stahl score a goal.
That's horrible.
I didn't even know Mark Stahl was playing with the Panthers until like a month ago.
Mark Stahl scored his 50th goal of his career and his first as a Florida Panther off a blue line shot.
Yeah, I didn't know he was there till just now.
Both the Stahl brothers, Eric and Mark, are there.
I thought he'd retired years
Nah,
ago.
Eric and Mark Stahl are both in Florida, baby.
I remember those last couple years with him as a Ranger. I don't know if I've ever seen a worse hockey player. He was so terrible. He was so terrible. I mean, he did great things. He did great things for the team, in like 2014. He did great things for that team, but towards the end of it, it was rough. It was.
Yeah.
I remember dancing the day they traded him to Detroit for like a 7th round pick. I was
What dance move did we hit though?
I forget. It was in that, and then I had the same reaction when they bought out Dan Girardi, because they both just went in the tank.
God.
Man, but
What dance move did you do for that?
I forget.
the Caps let Forsling,
What's
Mark
the go-to
Stahl,
dance move? A little disco?
and Colin
Yeah.
White all score goals. But aside from that, they lost to the Hurricanes twice, Sharks, Red Wings. So
Yeah,
they're
I was
moving down.
watching the Hurricanes, the Stadium Series game.
Oh yeah, it was-
Capitals looked awful.
yeah, they're bad.
Well, then again, they didn't have Alex.
They didn't have Ovi. I mean,
Really?
I understand it, but they just looked like Carolina was just scoring at will.
We got
almost.
a speed run here. We got only 3 minutes left. I'm gonna try my best. Philly won 2 games this month. That's all I'm gonna say so far. Columbus still at the bottom. Won a couple games. Beat Dallas at Winnipeg, but nonetheless, moving over to the Atlantic, speed run style. Boston's won 4 games in a row. Islanders, Preds, Stars, Senders, and they're looking to add Gavrikov. So we'll see what the sky's the limit for them. Toronto's now back in second in the Atlantic. They beat Buffalo. They lost to the Blackhawks, though, so that's such an L. Tampa Bay, bad week for them. Lost to the Coyotes in a shootout because it was tied 0-0, and the Coyotes win in the shootout. I don't remember the last time I saw a 0-0 game.
Was that in
the
Tampa or
NHL.
was that in the Pike House?
Pike House. 0-0 at the Pike House, and the Coyotes win in the shootout. And they beat the Ducks this week 6-1 because that was like, you know when your team is doing bad, so then you hop on Madden to beat the terrible team?
Yeah.
That's kind of what that Ducks game was for them. Just beat the terrible team 6-1. But they're still doing good. Florida, actually solid week. They beat the Caps and they get destroyed 7-3 by the Predators. But they beat the Ducks in overtime to punch themselves into the 7 seed. Now they're the 8 seed. The Florida Panthers are in a playoff spot, ladies and gentlemen.
And they'll stay.
And I don't know if they'll actually
I
stay
think
or
they'll
not.
stay.
They will stay.
I don't
Yeah.
see a scenario where they're.
Let's take the
Not
Bruins
really.
round 1.
No.
We're coming. We back up. And under them, Detroit having a hot week. They're on the cat's tail. They only lost to Seattle, beat Edmonton, Calgary, and Washington. Buffalo moving down, but they still played good this week. It's just there's a lot of shifting going on. They beat the Ducks and the Sharks, so it doesn't matter that much. And then they lost to Toronto very bad. Ottawa's down bad. Montreal's down bad. Those two teams aren't doing nothing. But like as of right now, the wild card spots, Islanders and the Cats have the 2 wild card spots out east, but they have 60 games played, which is way more than the teams under them at 56 and stuff like that. Buffalo's only at 55, in fact. Out west, the Oilers and the Wild hold wild card spots. Flames right on their tail. Preds, and it just falls off after that. The Wild is more spread out. Flames 4 points behind, and then behind that is 3 and then 5. There's only a few real contenders for those wild card spots. While out in the east, it's a lot more close. Like, so many teams are right there. It's only a 6-point gap between, like, the Panthers at the 8th seed and the Senators all the way down at the quote-unquote 13th seed. Where out west, like, it's already a 10-point gap. I mean, a 7-point gap between the Wild and the Predators, which are only 2 teams apart. So, like, it's a crazy difference, a gap. Boys, we have 1 minute left here on Breaking the Ice, I believe. Let me check the time here. We got exactly 50 seconds left here. Alex, AJ, Tanner, last thoughts before we close out the show.
Well, what's your Western Conference prediction?
Oh,
said-
yeah.
you said-
AJ said he was going
you
to
said
tell us
you're-
who's
yeah.
going to be in the final from the East and the West.
The new York Rangers.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Look at the take. Look at the take right there.
That's the best.
Well, we got jinxed. Good season. We'll see you next year.
We'll explain next week.
We got jinxed. Good season. We'll see you next year.
Honestly.
All right. So now we're going to run a couple minutes over here right now because we started late because, some ADG testing going on. So I'll give us some breathing room here. I'll get us to 1 hour of a recorded episode. So as of right now, I know the clock says 3:59, but we're going a couple more minutes as you're listening to Breaking the Ice here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Alex, your final thoughts here.
My final thoughts on this last quarter of the season.
It's already a quarter of the season left.
I don't think really anything right now that we're looking at is going to stay where it is, except maybe Boston's position.
I think
I
Winnipeg
think-
has
I
to
think at
catch
the end of
Dallas
the year,
eventually.
I think every single team might move. Also, the East is hard to do. I don't know.
The
But
East is there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
agree.
I
movement.
think a
agree.
lot can change. Is what I'm trying to
I
say.
agree.
The West is way easier to talk about because it's just kind of stagnant. But Tanner,
Mm-hmm.
your closing segment here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I was saying, I think the East, especially the Metro, I think any of the 3 teams, that Canes, Devils, and Rangers, I think you could see any flip-flop of them being the final in the division, but I still think Carolina is the best team in that division. And I think I think all 3 teams, I would not be shocked if all 3 teams, if the Canes, Devils, and Rangers, I wouldn't be shocked if any of them are in the Cup final this year.
Yeah.
They're really good. Devils, really, really good young team. I hate to admit it, but they're a really good young team, and they'll be good for a couple years. The Devils-Rangers rivalry is back. It'll be back. As I was saying for a long time, it'll be back, and now it's back because both teams are going to be in a dogfight for home ice in a playoff series.
One more question. What do you guys have as your Calder winners? Who are your Calder Trophy winners?
I don't. What? Is it, no
It's
one's
a
really,
hard one, right?
No one's really run away with it this year.
For the Calder,
Yeah.
Beniers.
Beniers.
Yeah.
Beniers. That's who's close to them? Mason McTavish.
Yeah.
Mason McTavish. Like
Yeah.
I think it's a very weak Calder trophy with the good year, but
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not like we had Mo Sider last year. You know what I'm saying?
Logan
So-
Thompson, maybe.
Yeah.
Could be.
So, we've reached the end of our time here on Breaking the Ice. Connor Cupen, Alex Daly, AJ Chasan, Tanner Price. So, we'll be back next week for more great hockey content. No Devils fans today. We went the whole episode without saying Quinn's brother's name. That is my final statement, everyone. Have a great day and a Devils-free rest of your Wednesday.